Yo, 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 what is up? It is I, FGF Chris, and you're listening to Twilight Hadoukens. Oh, you guys are in for a treat. Today we're going to be talking about fighting games and visual media. And that includes movies, anime, and cartoon series. And it's a very special topic because there is a huge spectrum between what makes a good anime and movie based on a fighting game and what makes a very fucking god-awful adaptation of it as well. And I will say right off the bat, when it comes to Japanese film and anime, I would say that they get fighting game based anime and film about 50% right. You know, half of it is done beautifully, the other half are kind of not so good. But when it comes to Hollywood's film adaptation of fighting games, about 95% of the time they get it dead freaking wrong. Okay, and that's not an understatement. In fact, there's only one film that was done by Hollywood that was based off of a fighting game that I rather enjoyed. And that would be the first Mortal Kombat movie. They did it right because they made it silly and campy, and it didn't take itself seriously, but it was pretty well done. And their production values, even though not that great, it wasn't terrible either. And it was a good movie. I like Mortal Kombat. But when it comes to everything else that Hollywood has done, I am like, no, no way. Get that shit away from me. Seriously. You know, Tekken, god-awful. King of Fighters basically was like Hollywood driving a stake into my heart. It really, really hurt. And then the Street Fighter movie, even though it was campy as hell and kind of funny at times, it was a pretty terrible movie. If I had to say there's a runner-up to the greatness of Mortal Kombat, I would say that Street Fighter would have been a close second. But that still doesn't make it a good movie. And yeah, Hollywood loves to butcher and destroy video game franchise via movie. A few good examples outside the fighting game realm would be the Super Mario Brothers movie. Or, yeah, I mean, that's a good example. I mean, I can't think of any other movies off the top of my head, but Super Mario's was just freaking awful. And Doom was pretty bad too. Doom was pretty shitty. I didn't like that one. The Rock, you know, like, oh, I'm The Rock and I'm in a video game based movie about killing demons and shit. But, however, even though Hollywood loves to butcher video game franchises, especially fighting games, anime and Japanese flicks got it right. For the most part, you know, like I said, it was 50-50. There's some that really sucked, aka Virtua Fighter and the Tekken motion picture, anime motion picture. Those were kind of garbagey. I didn't like Virtua Fighter. It was too goofy, didn't stay relevant to the game at all. And with the Tekken the motion picture, the anime film, it could have been good if they made it longer and made the visuals a little bit better. If they made the story a little bit longer, I would have said that Tekken is passable. But no, it's kind of thrown together in like 50 minutes of bullshit, in my honest opinion. However, anime that got the fighting games right has to do with the biggest rivalry of video game history, other than Marvel vs. Capcom. And I'm talking Capcom and SNK. Capcom released a few different anime movies. They released Darkstalkers, Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter 2, the movie, the animated movie, and a series called Street Fighter 2 V. And I was never fond of the Alpha movies that Capcom produced, Street Fighter Alpha. I could never get into them because they kind of like bullshitted the story a little bit and created something that you couldn't really get into. The fight scenes weren't amazing, the animation wasn't that good, the plot was kind of corny. Like Ryu having a younger brother, and that was kind of dumb. And then Darkstalkers was kind of mediocre too. I never got into that movie, anime movie. However, where Capcom got it right was with Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, and Street Fighter 2V, the animated series. And I have very fond memories of Street Fighter 2V. And the V stands for victory in the anime title. And it is a really fun ride. In fact, good luck trying to find a copy online or wherever you go shopping for movies, because it is very rare and hard to find Street Fighter 2V. However, the anime movie Street Fighter 2, you can find that pretty easily. In fact, Discotech, a company that got licensed to a lot of different old school anime titles, ended up reproducing Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. And that is really awesome. They cleaned it up and everything, made like different audio selections. It's really good. And the best scene that you could ever see in that movie is the Chun-Li and Vega fight scene. It is freaking awesome. Like, seriously. It is one of the best fighting scenes that I have ever seen in a fighting game-based anime. Now, like I said, Capcom and SNK got the anime movies right. I will agree. SNK, they had released Fatal Fury 2, and Fatal Fury the Motion Picture. And they also released Samurai Showdown. Samurai Showdown sucked. It wasn't that good. In my humble opinion, it was kind of garbagey. However, Masami Obari, who was a director of the Fatal Fury movies, the 2 OVA and the motion picture, really freaking nailed it. The fights were great, the story was coherent, and the animation was pretty good, even though, like, the art director was Masami Obari, who also did a lot of mech animes, and he kind of makes the characters look a little mechish too. And yeah, they look a little weird. That's all I'm trying to say. Other than that, like, it is great. And plus, Terry Bogard, oh my god. When he kicked Wolfgang Krauser's ass, it was so great and gratifying. And he even kills the god of war, Mars, in the motion picture. It is so badass seeing, like, Terry Bogard, like, really wreck stuff up. So SNK and Capcom got the fighting game movies kind of right. Well, the anime movies, I should say. So, yeah, what about Hollywood, though? Hollywood, oh my goodness. Like I said, Mortal Kombat's the only film I'll go out of my way to see based on a fighting game from Hollywood. It's just how it is. Recently, ever since King of Fighters 14 was released, SNK's been diving back into the film industry again, and created an animation called King of Fighters Destiny. And this is, I have really, really mixed feelings about. On one hand, I love the idea that they're bringing back the Fatal Fury King of Fighters story, where you get to see the Orochi saga unravel itself. And the Orochi saga is basically the storyline between King of Fighters 94 and 97. And it has to do with Kyo Kusanagi, Yori Yagami, and all your favorite friends from the King of Fighters universe battling an evil demonic god known as Orochi. And King of Fighters Destiny is capturing, so far, they just got finished with their first game, which is King of Fighters 94, where basically, like, in a 24 episode season, I should say, they had very short show. Every episode was 15 minutes long, and basically it's Kyo Kusanagi's storyline in the King of Fighters universe, and how they are fighting in this tournament. And yeah, you get to see all your favorite King of Fighters characters in one place. And it's pretty decent. The story is good. The fights are excellent. But the thing that kind of drags it down, in my opinion, is the animation. Well, not the animation, but the CGI. Okay? Like, the animation's pretty good. Everything moves really fluently. But the character art and the CGI is a little bit unpolished. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because, you know, if you're a fan of like old school games, you don't really care about the graphics as much as the gameplay. And I kind of stay true to that mentality too. Like, I definitely prefer story and substance over appearance, really. So, yeah, King of Fighters Destiny is pretty cool. Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, what was the worst Hollywood adaptation of a fighting game that I absolutely despise. That would probably be a tie between Tekken and King of Fighters live action, because they were both awful in their own ways. And as a huge Tekken and King of Fighters fan, I felt disgraced. At least with Street Fighter, the live action with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Raw Julia, at least it had a little bit of charisma and humor to it. It was pretty funny. It was stupid as hell and totally unrelated to Street Fighter, but it was funny. Mortal Kombat was hilarious, and everything about that was meant to be that way, and that's why I love Mortal Kombat. The one where it's kind of like in the middle, like a gray area type Hollywood adaptation, I would say would be DOA, Dead or Alive. Dead or Alive just, it didn't have a spark to it, and it felt like they're trying too hard to make it like sexy, but kind of failing at the same time. I don't know. I mean, if you play Dead or Alive, you're going to see a bunch of like TNA. It's all about fan service, really. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Tekken and King of Fighters are at the bottom of the barrel, and Dead or Alive and Street Fighter somewhere in the middle, and then Mortal Kombat's way up top. That's what it looks like on my scaling system when it comes to Hollywood adaptations of fighting game movies. But when they do anime, they do it pretty right, you know, especially Capcom and SNK. They really freaking nailed it. And it's kind of nice. In anime, you don't have to explain why people have fireball powers or chi energy or projectiles that do weird shit. You don't have to explain it. It's kind of like a norm in that type of universe. And you could do it a lot better in anime than you could do in live action. That is definitely true. In live action, when someone throws a fireball, you kind of want an explanation of how that person threw a fireball. In animation, it's already fictional, and it just kind of flows a little bit better. Especially the fact that you're watching, you know, pencil-drawn characters do all this stuff. So anyway, I'm going to be signing out, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Keep listening to the Twilight Hadoukens with FGF Chris. Later on, guys.